to not only is it the best players in first place, but you guys get a ton of games. You get a crap ton of games, and it's all over the place. It's amazing. Oh, my alt cheese on.
Alright. Oh, some options I haven't set up. Give me a second here, guys.
No worries. Guys, just by the way, as Fenner just said, there's a ton of money in this tournament through the sponsors, and I believe the biggest one, and I will never be sure how to pronounce it quite properly, but it is, if I can find it, it was on the screen before when you were watching. Thank you, Adventure Moto.
And I
wanted
believe
to say
they
ADV Moto.
Yeah, I think they abbreviate to ADV Moto. Actually, the sponsor will pop up on the screen in a second, so you'll get to see
awesome.
that. But anyway, the game is beginning. In the top of the map, we have PiLiPiLi, who actually is meant to be called PiLiPiLi, but I like to call him PiLiPiLi because it sounds a lot better. He's going to be going for a Nexus first up here.
And his opponent, of course, in the bottom left-hand corner, with a hatch first at that third base. It is the Blizzard player, Law.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of weird that he's taking it out there and not at the inside base. Generally, myself, I always take it at the inside.
I like the inside. It's definitely more safe versus Protoss, but I feel like in the end, it's so easy to be greedy nowadays in Legacy of the Void. And it's Zerg. Just give him the greed. You can't really punish that.
Definitely. Myself on ladder, I've been playing quite a lot on NA, and I always get away with 3-hatch. I don't think there's one person I'm scared of when it comes to 3-hatching, and that is In Control, because he cannon rushes every game. But everyone else, I'm like, just 3-hatch every game, no big deal. But then you go to Korea, and you play against those guys, and they'll do some crazy stuff to you to stop you from doing it. But generally in the foreigner scene, 3-hatch seems to be pretty safe.
Yeah, definitely 3-hatch is quite safe. Of course, we do have this early probe harassment just to be able to get a scout, which is always crucial on this map. PiLiPiLi says, cool, taking a quick third hatch. Actually, I guess he does know about the third hatch since the timing of that third, or natural in the third base. So either way, PiLiPiLi knows what's up, and man, whenever I've seen PiLiPiLi play PBZ on this map, it's got a variety of builds. A lot of them robotics, immortal all-ins, but he does Phoenix in Void Ray so much, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that here.
Yeah, I've noticed a trend. I did take a break for 3 weeks because I went on holiday for Christmas, but before I went on holiday, Protoss, in my opinion, were playing very poorly. They didn't really know what to do. I had a crazy win rate in ZvP. They just seemed to lose a lot. But then I came back, and I don't think I've won a single game, and the trend seems to be heavy charge law builds with Phoenix.
Oh yeah. And even though in the beta, charge lots were nerfed a little, that was after they were buffed an incredible amount, so charge lots even better than Heart of the Swarm. And then yeah, charge lot Phoenix, we often see charge lot Immortal, it's just incredibly potent. Too early Adepts by PiLiPiLi, which generally I have not seen do a ton of damage. You can't see them get like 2 to 4 kills in there, but more so they do force lings, and the Zerg cannot be quite as aggressive, so hopefully we'll see that. Oh, nice little pickup for PiLi though.
Oh, Law messing up there. He sent them out, but then he sent them back, and they just ran into the fire of the Adepts, and he's producing lings desperately now to try and defend against this. Is he going to go for the shake? No, he's going straight for the third bait. Oh, well, the natural there. And he's going to get quite a few drones here. I think this is a lot more than he wanted to get. This is some solid damage here.
It is some solid damage. So far, 4 workers have been killed. The Adepts maybe even able to shade out. And if you look at the production tab, there was just, I believe, about 11 drones being made while only 4 lings. Even though there's only 1 Adept left, it's going to pick up a few kills with a 2-shotting of drones. And the aggression after this could be incredibly potent from PiLiPiLi.
Yeah, I think that was way too much damage there, and behind this, PiLiPiLi has gone for a fast there. This is also something that's become extremely popular lately. It's just these ridiculously fast thirds. He started this at 3 minutes off, I think, well, he had 2 gateways, but still, he doesn't have much at all, and he just relies on the pylon cannon there to defend it, because you don't need cannons anymore, really. You can just rely on the mothership core.
Not only can he rely off the cannon, but as we just saw with those early kills, didn't kill a ton, but forced out a huge wave of drones, which I'm sure Law was kind of going for. However, 3-base toss versus 3-base Zerg. Zerg is not going to be happy, and especially with the Overlord going down, and that is a huge supply block. There you see it, Fenner, 2 Stargates out of PiLi.
Oh, so you know more about this than me. Tell me about it. Is this going to be heavy Phoenix, heavy Void Ray? Is it going to go into late game Sky Toss, or is he just going to go Phoenix into Charge Loss or something like that?
Well, with the 2 Stargates, I'm guessing it's going to be Phoenix into Charge Lot, but every once in a while, I'll see a Void Ray, actually just 1 Void Ray from PiLiPiLi, and it's kind of a safety thing versus the Roach Ravager, even though it's maybe a little counterintuitive. Ling, oh man, Ling, did it see the Stargates? It does see the Stargates.
Oh.
It's beautiful for Law, but can Law actually do anything about it on these economies? What are the incomes looking like? Looks pretty darn even, only a couple hundred more minerals for Law a minute.
I missed that Ling getting in. Was that a sneaky Ling drop there? From the first Overlord, or did he just run it in?
I think he just ran in, but then again, it's kind of hard to run in.
It seems kind of crazy,
so,
yeah, I missed that one. Ooh, bunch of Adepts
line.
coming out on the map here. What does he have at home to defend this? Nothing yet, just 14 Zerglings on the way. This is a lot of Adepts. Where's he going? Oh, I think he messed up there a bit. Taking the longer route.
He may have messed up, but imagine if the 4th base was already up and workers working. Maybe he'd get some high ground attack done, but for now, Creep is going to be cleaned up, and Fetter, I'm worried for Law.
Yeah,
what does he actually have to defend?
Only Zerglings here, and he's pushing forward, going to Shades into the back of the mineral line here. Roaches are on the way, but it's only 4, and they're going to pop very, very slowly as well. Massive damage is going to be done here in the mineral line of Law.
Massive damage, of course. There's going to be a couple Roaches out there to be able to defend, but I'm not even sure if that's going to be enough. Roaches and drones, all the drones going into the extractor, desperately trying to find some place to hide, but the Adepts shade into the main base, and drones are going down left and right. Even if the Roaches can clean this up, these Adepts have gotten such a strong foothold, especially after the early attack. Law's just kind of floundering right here.
Yeah, this is crazy. And the thing is as well, it's not just about the damage of these lines, it's about the damage they've done with the fast third behind this. Even when you don't take damage as a Zerg player currently in the metagame, with thirds like this, you still struggle to stay even, so you really can't afford to take damage at all. And he took 14 workers down in this entire game, which is a hell of a lot.
It is a lot. Not too big of a difference economically, but still you see a very greedy Zerg without the drones to get that income, and now Phoenix is PiLiPiLi with that charge lot, or not even charge lot, with the Adept Phoenix. It's such an aggressive force. You have so much possibilities. These Phoenixes are going to be moving in, and there's no anti-air. Yes, there's 9 Hydras, but if they come out one by one like we've seen them before, a lot of different situations, Phoenixes pick them off easy.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like Law is going to be going for the Lurker tech here, which I know a lot of Zerg players do like. Personally, I haven't messed with them too much because I find them a bit fragile. You can easily lose the game if you got them out of position. Just one mistake can cost you the entire game, because if you have to lift them up and a Protoss player is ready and then he just snipes them, that's it, it's over, you've lost all of your supply. But if you are really good with them and you position them correctly, it sometimes feels impossible as a Protoss player to be able to break it.
Oh yeah, it's so hard. High DPS Hydras just wreck the Phoenixes. However, even with correct positions, with the base of Law kind of spread out far and that 4th hatch, there's not a ton of places where he can completely cover with those Phoenixes. And now back at home, you see another huge army, and it's High Templars. We don't have any Storm, do we? Now just going to be Archons with Charge Lot. Man, this is reminiscent of kind of late Heart of the Swarm, and this potentially could just smash Law.
Yeah, this is what I've been seeing pretty much every single game since I got back from the holidays. Charge lots, couple of Immortals mixed in there, and then Archons later on, and then just a massive, massive deadly push, which is incredibly hard to stop. Wow, this is a lot of Hydras though. And if he gets some Lurkers... Oh, the Phoenix are not paying attention there. Picks off 2 of them. He could use some Lurkers though, I think, against this Charge lot composition.
Lurkers would be really, really good, but right now I don't even think there's going to be a Lurker den.
Oh, there we go.
There is the Lurker den. Lurkers are morphing in. He's got to be careful not to engage until that happens. And
oh, he sees him. He sees him. If he pounces on them right now, this is going to be massive. This is what I'm saying about Lurkers. If you get out of position one time and they're not even up yet, this is huge. He's going to pick them all off.
Oh, my word. Zealots completely pushing this force back with the time where only 2 Lurkers survive. And yes, there's a lot of Hydras, lots of Roaches, but the force fields, they're pretty darn good. Not that many charge lots left. However, there's 1,000 minerals in the bank for PiLiPiLi. He does have to retreat. Might have overextended just a little bit. However, there's a huge warp in him. I think like 10 to 15 Zealots, and PiLiPiLi's looking dang strong and long. He's not reinforcing too well. PiLiPiLi looks like he's going to be able to push this back.
Yeah, pushing back with that warp in there. Where did the Lurkers go? I can't see that. It looks like they got picked off, and now he's going to push the entire thing back with that warp in there. And there's no getting away from charge loss. Look at him chase them down. He's trying to run away, but it's not going to happen. Back onto his own creep. but rebuilding against a Protoss composition that kept his Archons alive is going to be incredibly hard to do. Oh, he decides to back off.
Just going a Roach Hydra, but now there's an incredibly strong foothold by PiLiPiLi in the middle of the map. He's got to be careful, though. He doesn't have that much reinforcement. He doesn't have a reinforcement pylon. More Zealots coming across the map. And as you mentioned earlier, Fenner, what was that, like 10-ish lurkers went down and 2 survived, and then they even went down. The gas bank of Law is non-existent. He can make some wins, whatever, but this 4th base has to survive to have the income for the defense.
Yeah, this looks nasty. Phoenix coming forward as
drop
well.
In the main, actually, too, some Zealots.
Yeah, oh, that's pulling him right out of position as well. He capitalizes on it, pushes straight through the middle. There is a lurker at the back, but picked up nicely from PiLiPiLi there. Beautiful micro, and just moving him out of position into the main there allowed him to get a solid position in the 3rd base.
Archons to be able to shred everything. Zealots shutting down the main Roach Hydra force, and on a ramp, nothing can be done against PiLiPiLi to move down a GG. PiLiPiLi takes game 1 in what I believe is a best of 3. Yes, maybe.
Yes, it is a best of 3. So yeah, that charge lot style is nasty. I've seen that like every game. It was down to just getting the lurkers out of position though. I feel like if he had those lurkers up, then he could have won that engagement. If PiLiPiLi took the engagement on the lurkers, that is.
Yeah, and you also could have saw something just a little bit different if you saw the lurkers morph back farther. It's just, as you mentioned, lurkers too late to the party, and you definitely don't want to do that in any scenario, whether you be warping in Archons, whatever. When it's that far forward, and the Protoss can just step out and say, ooh, my dudes can jog a little bit faster than your can, those charge lot, you shut it down so easily, and that's just hard as law, though, because you got to remember, that attack he did was maybe a last-ditch effort. If you think about it, he lost a lot of economy. PiLiPiLi was just right in his face. Law said, you know what, I got to go for it. Made a good decision, but wasn't able to completely follow through with it.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we didn't actually talk about these players too much before the game or during the game because we jumped straight into it. So, what do we know about... You talk about PiLiPiLi because I know a little bit about Law.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say the exact same. Don't really know much about Law, however. PiLiPiLi, great fellow. Met him at BlizzCon. The only thing to say about his physique is I'm about 6'3". He's like my height and like 50 less pounds. He's just this skinny twig. And it's amazing that he can even play StarCraft. But that is PiLiPiLi from Psystorm. Of course, Psystorm is one of the sponsors along Adventure Motors. It's a magazine about really cool things and motors, stuff like that. But Psystorm Gaming is one of our sponsors too, which PiLiPiLi is on. And he's originally from Kazakhstan. He's the #1 Kazakhstani player in quotes at the moment. But right now, he's in the U.S., really just going at college and playing StarCraft, and he actually, I believe it was maybe 6-ish months ago, that he decided to stop streaming and completely go all in.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Try to do WCS. Yeah, he's actually stopped streaming, and he's focusing all his efforts into the WCS and being the next Lilbo.
Oh, that's good to know, because yeah, I thought PiLiPiLi had a lot of potential, and then I saw he was streaming a lot, and whenever I see someone who's streaming a lot, I'm like, no, that's not happening if you want to be the best player. Because streaming just cuts way too much into your practice. You don't have the full focus that a lot of other players do. But we are jumping into game number 2 between these two players now. And after we introduce them, I'll talk a little bit about Law. I don't know too much about him either, but I know a bit more than most other people, as he is an Aussie. So in the bottom left of Orbital Shipyard here, it is Law from Silicon.
And his opponent in the top right-hand corner, the green Protoss from Psystorm, it is PiLiPiLi.
Yeah, so Law, again, I don't know too much about him either, so I might be wrong on a few of these things, but there's a tournament circuit in Australia called ACL, the Australian Cyber League, and I'm pretty sure the last year-ish he's been doing really well in that. Back when I was playing more in ACL as well, before I went to the trip to America about 1.5 years ago, this guy wasn't even known, so he's more of a recent player coming up in Australia. But he's doing amazingly. I know he's getting up there. Obviously, he's on Silicon now as well, one of the premier Australian teams. So yeah, he's doing well, and if he can get a game of PiLiPiLi here, I think he'll be doing pretty nicely for himself.
Definitely, that'd be awesome. And as you mentioned before, this is a double elimination bracket. So easily, and if he loses here, he's still got chances to make somewhere in that $5,000 prize pool. Just about everyone, not really just about everyone, but decent amount of players in this do make money from even playing in it. It's basically WCS. JK, but not really. We'll see. 3 hatch before pool for Law. As I said that, I was like, that probably wasn't the best thing to say, Dronok. But for Law, it looks like it was a 3 hatch before pool, while Nexus first for PiLiPiLi, and I'm afraid that on this map he can do exactly what he did the last map.
Yeah. This is the thing. It's a lot of foreigner Protoss players. They just let you get away with the 3 hatch before pool. You still can cannon rush in Legacy of the Void. It's a little bit weaker because obviously it's coming a bit later, and the main reason why I think it's a bit weaker is because there's more options for Zerg. You've got a stronger Nidus, and you've got Ling Drop. Ling Drop seems to me that it's really good against cannon rush, because if they put a cannon at the front of the base, then you drop in, they don't have a zealot because they're cannon rushing, and it can get a bit nastier. But with that said, it's still powerful. It can still catch a Zerg player off guard, and then there's the proxy 3-gate, which is a bit crazier, but it can still shut down a 3 hatch before pool. But it never ever happens in these foreigner games.
No, it just does not. I don't know if it's the guts of the foreigners and the crew just like, I don't care, I'll try it out because it wins me games, or it's just not really on their radar screen. And one thing I'd like to talk about quickly with those link drops, as you mentioned, I love them, and we're seeing more and more players realize they're a possibility, but I feel like what's so strong about the link drops a decent amount of the time is purely they're not in people's playbooks. When something weird's happening, they're like, oh, it's mutas or whatever, it's a nidus. Link drops aren't really on their radar, and it's starting to become more and more, but it's when it's a surprise, you don't expect it, and that's when it hits hard. But there's the Stargate this time from PiLiPiLi. Only one Stargate for now. I think he's going to stick with that, and this is the scenario where I've actually seen him go Phoenix, Void Ray, Phoenix, and just get one Void Ray at home and be like, yeah, let's be safe.
Yeah, a little bit more tech heavy this game, taking the third base along with the Stargate instead of just taking the third base without it. And Adepts do come in. Are they going to do as much damage this time? He needs to defend them well. And there we go. He had the Lings on them. He decided not to go with the Shade teleport, so it looks a little bit safer this time. And I don't think he's... Oh, he might get some damage done down here.
Decides not to Shade up into the main, which does fight a little bit more time against these Lings, and does pick up a couple more kills. Adepts putting themselves in a phenomenal position between the minerals and the wall, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. One Adept does manage to get away instead of committing like last game, and Orbital Shipyard is one of those hard maps to really commit with these early aggressions, because as you get farther in, you're just farther into the base. If you're in there natural, it's so hard to get out. You got 2 ramps to go through.
Yeah, so that was more of a pressure how it should be. Like, usually you're going to lose 1, 2, maybe 3 drones. Losing more than that, it gets a bit nasty. With that said, there's still this incredibly fast third base. I feel like these third bases need to be pressured somehow, because just letting them get it up. As you can see, PiLiPiLi is even on workers. He's probably going to take over in workers, which in a PvZ, if this was Heart of the Swarm and Protoss was ahead in workers, you'd be like, what the hell? This is not going well for the Zerg player at all. It's a bit different in Legacy, of course. It's still a fresh game. We've got different units to play with. Zerg have got some mid-game power units like the Lurker, so the worker difference doesn't matter as much, but still, it scares me.
Law does know about the quick third of PiLiPiLi, scouted it with an Overlord. However, he's just pumping out tons and tons of drones. He can't really punish it. Lings are getting rid of the debris, and I feel like Law is just a little bit too greedy to play against PiLiPiLi, which has the slight greed advantage here. Not that much anti-air, but thankfully for Law, there's no Phoenixes this time. Just an Oracle into that dreaded Void Ray, which I've still never really seen much done with. But I'm always like, oh, come on, something happened, something happened.
He's going for a Twilight here with double upgrades. That's a big investment of upgrades. I wonder if he's just going to stop on the 1-1 and then go with charge or something like that. This is going to be the interesting choice. I assume it's going to be charge, because everybody's loving the charge right now. Go on, PiLiPiLi, research something.
So close to doing it, not quite sure yet. Of course, he does a +1/1 on the way with the double forges, as you guys can see, which would bring it to the charge quite well. Just general charge lots, and maybe it's a little bit reminiscent of what we saw actually in the end of Heart of the Swarm, just that stalker style, using the blink as a really big utility. Instead, it's going over to, oh, charge is my utility I always get now, just to stay safe, because it does so much damage. Lurker Den is on the way.
Yeah, the thing is, I feel like the blink stalker style dropped off in Legacy of the Void without much reason. It was kind of Legacy of the Void came out and Protoss were playing with Disruptors a lot, and that's why they sucked, in my opinion. Because Disruptors, they're good units, but I don't think they're good in the mid-game, which is what Protoss were trying to do. And then they kind of just forgot that Blinkstalkers exist. Yeah, there's Lurkers and stuff like that, but Blinkstalkers can maneuver around Lurkers. So I think at some point in Legacy, we will actually see Blinkstalkers come back at some point, unless Charge Lots just turn out to be way stronger. And as you can see, he's dropping a massive amount of gateways here, so he's going to be committing to probably a heavy 3-base attack with these Charge Lots, and he's stopped upgrading as well, so it's definitely going to be a 1-1 heavy. Oh no, there he goes again. Going for the 2-2 now.
Maybe it'll be the type of thing where purely the lower half of the pro players may use the Charge Lots because, you know, they do 8 damage on impact, they do another 8 damage, lots of DPS. But if you really have the micro and skill, Stalkers, it may be exactly what you want to go for. However, it will be Charge Lot, of course, and it's going to be against the same composition that it went against last game. But this time, it looks like there's not quite as many Roaches, and of course, the early economic damage was not sustained, so we may see a little bit better of a fight out of Law in Game 2.
Yeah, he's taking the more defensive posture with the Lurkers this time. Not going to run them across the map and morph them over there. So, yeah, he was not happy with losing them last game. He's only got 3 coming up this time as well. There we go, a couple more now.
More Lurkers on the way, but I love this Ling Hydra style. Even though it's pretty larva heavy, it's still really, really cool. And do we have any melee upgrades? No melee upgrades quite yet, so I assume the Lings are just going to be here to shut down the Protoss force and allow the Lurkers to get their damage in. And PiLiPiLi just does not quite have as big as an army as last time. I don't want him to get a little bit
This looks
too
very
greedy.
similar to the last time, except the Lurkers haven't died. So if he can get them up the ramp, the engagement was pretty close last time. With Lurkers in the engagement, if he can force it, this is going to be huge.
So many Lings for the engagement, and Zealots actually use their charge a little bit preemptively, but still is a phenomenal wall. However, there's so many Lurkers in the Protoss armies fighting right on top of the Lurkers. So much damage is done. The Hydras are here, but actually, in the end, Archon's able to shove on through that. There is enough Hydras and DPS to push PiLiPiLi back. But again, I mean, how many gateways did he have before? Just a crap ton of gateways. 11 gateway. You can reinforce all day with 11 Zealots. For now, though,
it's not looking as good.
Back.
There's a bunch more Lurkers on the way. He's at 150 supply to 114. He's going to have to warp in only Zealots, but the Zealots are not going to cut it against these Lurkers if they get up the ramp. He needs to push forward and make them burrow before he just lets them get into this amazing position. He could have literally just walked them onto the main ramp there if he wanted to, and he's going to do it slowly. He could have gone a lot faster than that.
Being really careful, he did mix in some Roaches a little bit earlier on for some more armor. He's going to leapfrog forward, and this third base of PiLiPiLi potentially will be at jeopardy. A total of 7 Lurkers are currently out on the map, and basically the main and the third are now split in half. A lot of army here for Law, but PiLiPiLi is going for a huge
god, straight into that Lurker line. It's the only thing you can do, though, and look at the spines from the Lurkers just shredding through those Charge Lots. Roach Hydra gonna try and finish off the rest as well. The Lurkers don't help too much with those Archons and them also, and they will actually, looks like they will push.
Oh, but the Lurkers, there's no Observer! An Observer's on the way.
The Observer got sniped
out of that robotics facility. But the Lurkers still have a strong foothold, and 22 more Lings, 5 Hydras around the Roaches. If the Lurkers just can survive a little bit longer, they will have reinforcements. A couple Roaches are able to defend. It still, has this been a cost-efficient battle for PiLiPiLi? I don't really think it has, but it's pretty even actually if you look at units lost.
Yeah, it's extremely close there. Lurkers do get finished off, and PiLiPiLi survives what seemed like almost an impossible position there. That was nasty.
Off the back of that, though, think about this. Law, I'm looking at his 4th base. He was able to secure that 4th base, unlike last game where he really wasn't, but still, there's only okay, now there's a bigger lead, but there was only a 3-drone lead for a very long time. PiLiPiLi's economy is just so strong, he can reinforce forever, even with those Lurkers. Now that Law's pushed back onto his own territory, I'm feeling PiLiPiLi may just be able to, Warp Prism in the back, Oracle in the back, whatever, pull him out of position like he did in Game 1.
The thing is about this, remember this is Legacy of the Void. It only says 10 minutes on the clock, but if you look at the main base, it's mining out. The natural is mining out. So if oh, there you go. I was going to say, if he doesn't take a 4th soon, then he's going to be putting himself in a situation where he has to win with the army that he's got. But he's going to go for the base over on the right, and Law actually had a Zergling there. Yeah.
Beautiful. Law knows exactly where that is, and is he going to go for a drop? No, he's just boxing out that Warp Prism on the right-hand side.
Oh, God, but his units are going to get trapped in here. But the Lurkers are coming from behind. That's a lot of Lurkers there.
So many lurkers currently out of the map, a total of actually only 8, but they're shredding through the Zealots. The Zealots were the tanking units of before, and now, really, PiLiPiLi, his force has been cut down to about half. He's got to retreat. Huge reinforcement again.
If he can move those... Oh, he decides to back off. I was going to say, if he moves those lurkers into a better position, he goes for it now. Can he set them? Is it enough, though? It seems like a bit of a small force, and yeah, he just blasts down that ramp. Even though it was the perfect position for Law, there just wasn't enough at all.
Perfect position, but not quite down quick enough, and there's such a potent army for PiLiPiLi. 86 army supply to 68, not too much of a difference, but Law is coming out one by one. He's going into a meat grinder and getting destroyed, but now the Roach, Concaves, and Kiting is pretty darn good. Zealot's able to push them back, and maybe this fourth base is going to go down, but still, this is just such an even fight, Fenner. I can't believe this.
Yeah, the problem is those Immortals walking like crabs at the back just blasting through that Roach and through the rest of the Roaches as well. That means that it's going to get picked off, and then behind that, the massive charge lot warps in. Every charge lot warp in is massive because it means that Immortals and the Archons are protected just for that much longer, and they're the big DPS dealers in this fight.
You also got to remember, currently, PiLiPiLi is at 2-2 to the 0-0 of Law. He's just crushing through this. His army is better, and even though we're seeing phenomenal kiting and micro from Law, it's just not quite going to be enough. 14 more lings on the way, but it's pretty much going into desperation.
GG.
There's the GG. PiLiPiLi with a 2-0 victory. Pretty convincingly.
Yeah, it was looking a bit nasty at one point in that game, but other than that, he did pretty well there. There were Archons at the end with 20 kills, there were Immortals with 19 kills. It just shows you, like, the charge lots, while they do damage, they're mostly there to tank for the power units, which are the Immortals and the Archons, which just sit there blasting away the entire game, being defended by the meat shield.
In